I think it's fair to say that no one can stand the star of this movie.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged. I truly do believe that.
Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
And it just goes to show you exactly why she is so universally rejected right now.
They're remaking the movie. They just got rid of the dwarfs. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical
creatures. But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group. You just erased that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage. There's power of being on TV. There's power of television. And to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story. Don't change the characters.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
This is someone who is as entitled as, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and do the...
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple. A wishing apple? You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not. First love's kiss can break any curse.
I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
I know this point has been made, but this truly is the worst casting maybe in the history of the film industry.
When I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere, and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the woke we go. I hope. It sounds like I hear a couple of people. One, two, three.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans.
That
ever.
is sadder than when the original Snow White eats
The
the apple.
Simpsons are getting ready to release an episode that goes beyond simple satire. Rachel's glare is ridiculed. There are no subliminal jabs or barely concealed allusions. It is straightforwardly violent and is already making waves online. The true impact lies in the timing, as Rachel continues to struggle with press, fan reaction, and a career locked in PR purgatory. Snow woke the reinvention, and yes, it is exactly what it sounds like. The last thing she needs is for The Simpsons to make fun of her. Insiders claim she isn't laughing because the parody portrays her as tone-deaf, conceited, and completely out of touch.
People are like, oh wow, Snow White flopped. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out of touch, and disliked person in her industry, and her industry is Hollywood. And the bad guy is Gal Gadot.
The most humiliating blow for Rachel, who is already fighting to escape the barrage of negative publicity, is essentially everything critics have been saying for months. However, one thing about Snow White in particular has a lot to do with Rachel Zegler's firing situation. We previously discussed how the Walt Disney Company fired her from a number of projects, including voice acting for Toy Story. To understand how we got here, you must go back to what was once a Cinderella tale in the making. Rachel Zegler was Hollywood's next big star after her critically acclaimed performance in West Side Story. She was cast as the lead in Disney's live-action Snow White, which should have been her biggest moment, but almost immediately after the project was announced, things began to go south, not from the film itself, but from the conversation surrounding it. Rachel's interviews soon became the focus of attention.
One thing about Snow White in particular has a lot to do with Rachel Zegler's firing situation. We already talked about how she was let go from various projects by the Walt Disney Company, including doing voiceover work for Toy Story.
Instead of emphasizing the character's legacy or her joy at playing such a well-loved part, her sound bites tended to be critical of the original movie. In one now-viral clip, she claimed that the prince in the 1937 cartoon actually stalks her, and that the plot was strange and archaic. For many fans, the internet went crazy. It wasn't just a parody. It felt like she was making fun of the very basis of the classic that she was being paid to represent.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937. She's gonna be saved by the prince, and she's not gonna be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
The outcry intensified, particularly as further interview snippets emerged, which some hailed as audacious and contemporary while others perceived as patronizing and outdated.
Rachel Zegler just keeps making things worse with the Walt Disney Company. The more that she tries to defend this movie, the more that she tries to spew her agenda onto the general public, it's only making matters worse. Not just for Bob Iger, but for whatever is left of the image of Disney as a whole.
Girl Boss, the original mystique that fans had hoped for in a Snow White remake, seemed to disappear as Snow White began to trend, and not in a positive manner. Every quote started to be examined, every appearance, and every red carpet occasion elicited heightened reactions. One instance that particularly heightened public opinion was Rachel's relationship, or lack thereof, with co-star Gal Gadot at press conferences. During the awards season, fans observed their uneasy body language, and the Oscars moment stood out in particular.
I just want to tell you guys about a little incredible movie that just came out, Snow White. Wow. I just got to tell you, best movie I've seen in years, and there have been some really, really good films lately. Madam Web, Rebel Moon Part 1, that movie, that transgender one with the Mexican drug lord. But Snow White blows them all away. Chat, this movie has everything. Horrifying, CGI, little people, check. A feminist princess who don't need no man, double check. Diddy dance party at the end, double Diddy check. All this to say, go see Snow White right now. The new one. Not that old stupid one where the princess gets saved by some good, upstanding guy.
Rumors circulated that Gal had decided to separate herself from the incident, and that things weren't exactly cordial behind the scenes as all of this was happening, while fans saw them there together on stage with little chemistry and very little conversation. The film itself wasn't connecting with audiences. The iconic dwarfs and prince were no longer there, and the classic tone had been replaced by a politically reworked narrative that left many longtime fans perplexed. Was this even Snow White anymore? But Disney remained remarkably silent, made no significant course corrections, changed its messaging, and carried on with business as usual.
Please welcome Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot.
Visual effects push the boundaries of what we see on screen.
Their work makes the impossible seem possible.
With breathtaking ambition, they create magic that wraps its arms around our wildest imaginations.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
Although Snow White wasn't the first live-action remake to struggle, it was arguably the most controversial, and it's now being immortalized in pop culture the way The Simpsons do best, with scathing satire that gets close to the truth for Rachel Zegler. Despite its name recognition and Disney's marketing power, the film ultimately debuted to disappointing box office numbers. Whether you agree with her interpretation of the classic or not, the media frenzy that ensued has solidified her Snow White in a very different kind of Hollywood history. After the dust settled and the headlines moved on, the numbers spoke for themselves, but the film's IMDb rating fell to a staggering 1.66, making it one of the worst Disney productions ever. It wasn't just a commercial failure, it was a cultural one, and for Rachel Zegler, who had once stood on the precipice of Hollywood superstardom, it was a stunning reversal of fortune. Viewers didn't simply ignore the movie. Instead, they publicly celebrated its demise, turning it into meme material. Internet punchlines and Reddit threads titled "How Not to Market a Movie," but the chaos didn't stop with the numbers in a bizarre twist that blurred the lines between scandal and satire. A fake OnlyFans profile using Rachel's AI-generated likeness surfaced online. The account wasn't real, but it didn't need to be. It went viral almost instantly. Thousands followed it, joked about it, and even shared images, believing, however briefly, that it might be her. And while Rachel had absolutely no involvement, the fact that people believed it at all said everything. Her public image had shifted so drastically that the idea of her being impersonated on an adult site didn't strike people as outrageous, it struck them as plausible. That's how far things had unraveled in the world of entertainment. Perception is everything, and after the Snow White fallout, the industry started to change its tone quietly, but unmistakably, casting calls that once had Rachel's name at the top reportedly went in other directions. Projects that were rumored to be in the pipeline now remain unconfirmed, delayed, or mysteriously recast. Studio executives may not say it out loud, but insiders have hinted that many are hesitant to tie their brand to what they now see as a PR liability. In the space of a year, she went from being the face of Disney's future to a cautionary tale for how fast a star can rise and fall. Adding to the turmoil was her very public breakup with longtime partner Josh Andres Rivera. Friends close to the couple say that the constant backlash, online attacks, and mounting pressure caused emotional strain that neither of them could handle. The two had met during West Side Story and were viewed as one of Hollywood's rising power couples, but their relationship reportedly couldn't withstand the weight of the media storm following the Snow White premiere. Rachel, already dealing with a spiraling career, was now also facing heartbreak. The split wasn't just personal, it became yet another headline feeding the narrative of a young actress unraveling in real time. And then came the moment that many in Hollywood quietly dread. The Simpsons came knocking. Their episode centered on a fictional film called Snow Oak. The reimagining features a not-so-subtle stand-in for Rachel named Rachel Z. The parody pulls no punches. It shows her rewriting fairy tale lore, banning princes, and delivering long-winded speeches to confused villagers while her movie flops in Springfield theaters. It all culminates in a live meltdown on Krusty the Clown's talk show, a caricature of celebrity breakdown dressed up in pastel pink and pressed toward desperation. For Rachel, it's not just a joke, it's a signal, a sign that her career stumble has gone beyond gossip columns and become embedded in satire. When the Simpsons parody you, it usually means your fall from grace has officially entered the cultural canon for decades.
Snow White gets her name not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving a snowstorm.
That audiences walk away from this film with an understanding of the true meaning of fairness, of what it means to be fair in this world. There is a message that's been carried on for almost 90 years now from the original animated classic. That is, fairness is what is within. Fairness is to do with your heart, the way you treat the people around you, and it has nothing to do with what you look like, and that's the misunderstanding between Snow White and the Evil Queen. I think it's such an important message, and the way that Disney has elevated it and brought it to this new audience is very special.
They've skewered everything from politics to pop stars, but only those who have crossed the line from celebrity to spectacle, and in that sense, Rachel's inclusion is not just an insult, it's an obituary for the version of her that once represented Hollywood's bright new era. There's still time for a comeback. Hollywood adores redemption stories, but Rachel Zegler's path is unquestionably more difficult now given the box office failure, the change in public opinion, and the studio's silence. Her next move must be faultless because In a field that depends heavily on image, hers has been completely destroyed, and everyone is watching to see if she can repair it.